Welcome back to another Thursday training video. Today, George is going to walk us through some tools that he's used to help educate staff to make his life a little bit easier in sharing information about Koha and other things. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. All right, well, welcome back. I'm Christopher Brandon with the Coeur d'Alene Public Library.
And I'm George Williams. I'm the Next Search Catalog Coordinator at Northeast Kansas Library System.
George, you have some special tools that you're going to share, not hoard for yourself. So what do you have for us today?
So if you saw our last video, you'll know that I'm training a new person, not to replace me, but to supplement our Koha team here at Nichols. And as I've been training Nikki, we've talked about some different things that I have been doing for a while with screenshots and some tools that I use and some tools that I found helpful for making my life simpler. And so I thought this seemed like a good idea for talking about those tools here. And, these started out as little things that I did. It wasn't one idea that I had to rearrange my whole life around the way I did screenshots and things. It was just a way to, each one of these came bit by bit as, well, this seems like a good idea. And so I added that. And what I realized when I was training her is that I've got like 5 or 6 things that I do. And so it seemed like something worthwhile to talk about. So the first thing I'll say is I've put this all on my personal website because this is more than just some jQuery to go on the wiki. But one of the first things I'll say is that one of the tools I use is SnagIt. And so SnagIt is proprietary software that we pay a fee to use here at the Nichols office. A couple of us have SnagIt installed on our computers. And it's made by TechSmith, which used to make a product called Jing that was a very popular free software. And SnagIt is not free. They don't make Jing anymore, but there are other screenshot tools that are available. A Greenshot is one that I've used before, and it's free and open source. Because Nichols has the money to pay for SnagIt, and because several of us in the office use SnagIt, I also use SnagIt, and it's got some nice features. So I'm not a SnagIt salesman. If you go buy SnagIt, I don't get a kickback. This is just a tool I use. So
just to clarify, most of us that are on Windows, there are some snipping tools that are included.
Yeah.
But when you showed me this, it's like, oh, well, I like a lot of the features that the basic snipping tool doesn't have, which is great for training. The snipping tool in general works well, but I can't type in it. I can circle things and highlight things, but you can do a lot more with this tool, which is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I'm gonna click so one of the things Snagit has, and I don't know if it shows up on the screen share because Snagit is designed to not show some of its stuff when it's on screen share, but I've got this thing that sits at the top. Usually I have it not in this window that you're looking at, but in the window to the right of it. But this sits at the top of every page and it's hidden. And when I want to take a screenshot, I just go up there and I click the big red button. And then I can say, I just want to take a picture of this part of the screen. I can even take video. But if I just want a screenshot, I just put the window there, click the button, and then it takes a picture of that. And the thing that Christopher liked when I showed it to him is that I could do put a big arrow on there and type. So I can move this around. I can do anything I want with it. I can flip it the other direction. I can do all kinds of stuff with it.
Oh, yeah, that's that's worth its price just with that alone, I think.
And I can draw boxes around things. These are my favorite ones. I've got my favorite tools that I use all the time. I can highlight things in different colors. So Snagit does a lot of stuff that just the Windows snipping tool doesn't do. But GreenShot has some of these features too, um, and it's free. I can do steps.
I love that.
Yeah. So if you're taking a screenshot, you want to say to somebody, first click here, then click here, then click here. You can do those, and I've got them set up to be these on their side teardrops, or you could do boxes, and they auto number. So it is a cool piece of software. And if there's something private on the screen I don't want people to see, I can obfuscate things. So this is the blur feature. But then there's a bunch of other tools up there. And I don't want this to be a Snagit sales pitch because there are other things you can use, but Snagit is the tool I use. And so I'm going to talk about it a little bit.
I did like you showed me a feature. Maybe you could just
Step
show that.
capture.
Yes, the step capture was pretty cool.
So
For those of us
when
that document things, this is incredible.
Yeah, so for step capture, I go to the window and I click on step capture, and it's going to say capturing steps. And then I can do, I click here, and then I click here, and then I click here, and then I click, let's say here. And then eventually, when I get to the point, there's a control here that I don't think you can see,
No,
but I click the stop button. And now all of those things I clicked on, there's an image of each of those steps in here.
that
So,
that just blows my mind.
and if the thing you click on has an ID and a label in it, it will say click on circulation, click on checkout, click on holds ratio, click on circulation. So it documents those steps, and it tries to center the image on what you clicked on. One of the things I don't like that I'm hope step capture is new in Snagit. One of the things I hope that we can modify soon is we can modify the way the cursor looks on the screen, because right now it's kind of stuck in this with this yellow circle around it, and sometimes I don't like that. So if there was a way to either move that or modify that or change the style of that, I would like that. The reason that this one isn't centered is because that's on the edge of the screen.
Right.
So Snagit is what I use to do screenshots, and and so I'll be talking a little bit about that. So one of the ways that I use it, so one of the other tools I use is this tool called Windows Resizer, and there's a link to find Windows Resizer. At least there will be on the web page that you'll have access to.
And it'll be in this video.
And it'll be in the video. So what I do with Windows Resizer is it allows me to, with a click of a button, change the shape and the location of Firefox. I'm using Firefox. I believe Windows Resizer is also available as an add-on in Chrome. But this first one that I have here, when I click on it, it automatically puts the window in the same position on the screen and in the same size. I have another one that I use. If I click on this one here, well, that didn't work the way I expected it to. but this is the window that's the right size for when I'm editing circulation rules in Koha. Um, that might not have been the right one. It might be this one. Yeah, that's the one. So when I click on that one, it resizes the Firefox to that right size for editing circ rules. So I use this for a couple of different things. There's another one I have here that puts it in this space, and I don't remember why I put it in that space, um, but for this one, whenever I want to take a screenshot, it's nice to know that the screenshot you're taking is going to fit in to the document or the web page or wherever you're going to put it online. It's nice to have those be consistent. So when I click on that, one of the uh, one of the defaults I have in Snagit is I have a hotkey set up so that if I do Control Alt 7, Snagit automatically takes a picture of that that Firefox browser in that position on the screen.
Yeah.
And so the actual space it's taking the picture from is the inner view window. So it cuts off the top of the page and it cuts off the scroll bar on the side. And it just gets that part in the middle. And it's hard to see on the video probably, but it adds a black border around the page, which makes it stand out more when I put it into a Word document or a Google Doc or put it on a website. So that's window resizer that I use to set those things those shapes that I always want, because that way I don't, if you don't do that with uh, with Snagit, if you just click the big red button, you have to specify which part of the page you're going to take a picture of. And
Right.
I'd rather not have to spend all my time doing that. And each time you do that, it's a different size. You're probably not going to get the exact same parameters again and again and again. So I know when I want to take a
So you're a little
picture.
OCD.
Like I've said before, I will spend hours figuring out a way to to make something only take 3 seconds that used to take 4 seconds. So if I knew that I wanted to take a picture of this screen for a Koha screenshot to send to a user about something, all I know that I can click there and then do Control Alt 7, and there's my screenshot. So it's really easy to get that same consistent screenshot again and again and again. So the next that begs the question, how did I decide where to put that? And how did I decide how to set Snagit up to get that screenshot? I used another thing that I'm going to talk about here called Rapid Tables window size tool. So Rapid Tables actually has a whole bunch of online tools. They've got calculators. There's an online notepad. There's just all kinds of stuff they have. But one of their tools is this window size tool that when you run it, when you load it, it says, the window size right now is 1936 by 1048, and that's the whole Firefox browser. But then just the viewable area here, that's 1920 by 919. And the coordinates of the top corner here are -8 by -8. And so the way that I was able to determine that I wanted where my browser was and how big the window was is I adjusted the screen, getting it into position this way and that way until I was pretty sure that I had what I wanted. And then when you refresh this helped me determine, I figured out that I wanted approximately this size, and that helped me set the window size with the window resizer. So I didn't talk about that, but the way that you set a window size with Windows Resizer is you just put the window where you want, and then you click the plus button.
Hmm.
And it gives you this option here to say, I want the top corner to be uh, 15, 15, and it's in pixels, and I want it to be 500 wide and 600 tall, and save that. And then when I go up here to Windows Resizer and click on that, it'll put the window into that spot.
Nice.
And so the way that I figured out what I wanted those values to be is I used the rapid tables window browser size function to figure out what size I wanted that screen to be when I added the the values to Windows Resizer. So that's how I use rapid tables window size tool.
Hmm.
So those were all helpful in getting SnagIt to know exactly where that window is going to be every time. Um, so the other thing that I have happen a lot, I'm going to go to one of my Frosty patrons. So there are other concerns. There are other things that I do that deal with screenshots. One of them has to do with printing. It is not uncommon for me to get questions about why is my printer doing this? Why, um, why when I do this thing with the printer, is it not working right? Or how do I get the printer to do what I want it to do? And I'm sure you've had to deal with that too.
Absolutely.
And so one of the things that I found is if I take a screenshot and my printer over here on my desk is a very old, my receipt printer is a very old Epson TM 88 Mark II. And it is really slow. And nobody else in our system has any of these Mark IIs anymore because they're all old and slow. The reason I have it is because I don't do a lot of printing at my desk other than to print samples and stuff for testing. So a lot of our libraries, most of them have TM88 Mark V and Mark VII, but a couple of them have star printers and other, different printers. And so what I've discovered is that if I take a screenshot and it has the printer, uh, if it has any printer controls in it, they will write me back and they'll say, well, I don't see Epson TM88-2 in my list of available printers. So which printer should I use? So, and Christopher laughed when he saw this, but I'm just going to print here. I'll do all checkouts. The name of my receipt printer is Your Receipt Printer. So whenever I have to take a screenshot that involves letting people know how to adjust their printer or which printer to use or anything like that, it will always say Your Receipt Printer so that they know which printer to deal with. And that's really easy to set up in Windows. Is you just go to the printer and you go to the properties, um, printer properties, and you just change the name to Your Receipt Printer. So anytime I take a screenshot now that involves printer, they always know which printer it is. It's Your Receipt Printer. So that helps diffuse some of those questions. And then the last thing I'll show you here is that for a lot of screenshots, I'll go to the home page. A lot of the times, like right now, I'm logged in as Testy McTestface because that way it doesn't have my an actual login because I can delete this user as soon as we're done recording the video. But I've got stuff on the screen that I really don't need to have in a screenshot, including some private information here. And I've got some stuff over here. There's a lot of stuff there. I've also got this little camera icon up here. And I put a tool, I wrote some jQuery and it's got a tooltip with it that says anonymize for screenshot. So if I click that, it changes my username to your username in your library. It adds the Koha version up here right above the help button, and it gets rid of a lot of the stuff on the home page that I don't want there when I'm taking a screenshot. Um, and it can be also, this is a fake patron, but it could be modified so that it gets some of the confidential patron information off of the page. I haven't done that yet with this, but it just takes a bunch of stuff off of the page to make screenshots cleaner and more generic. The reason I like to have the Koha version up here, and that'll appear on all the pages, is because that way, when I take a screenshot, if I put it in documentation, if I look at it later and say, well, this doesn't look right, it tells me which version it is there. So that helps me know if maybe I need to update these when we update the version. It kind of gives me a clue as to how old the screenshots are and I know when I need to redo a screenshot to make it more current. So those are some of the tips I talk about in this web page, and I've got the jQuery down here at the very bottom. And hopefully, some of you out there that do some Koha training might find some of these ideas useful.
That's great. Well, George, thank you very much. I've learned a few tricks that I may incorporate myself. I know that I maintain uh, training documents and troubleshooting documents, and I like some of the things that you put to use here. But it's a very interesting set of tools that you've got there, and very useful. And I hope that those watching will find some of this useful. Not, everybody's different in how
Yeah,
they do their training, the tools they use. If you've got some tools out there, if you're watching this and you have some tools that you find useful, especially for training purposes, feel free to include them in the comments. We'd love to hear about what you use. Don't just go by what we do. Let's see what everybody uses. So,
yeah, that'd be awesome.
well, George, thanks again. And folks, if you have comments, please feel free to add to the comments to this video, or if you have questions, you can ask here in the video, or you could reach out to us on Mattermost. We'd love to hear back from you there. And don't forget that we have a conference coming up this year in Rhode Island. You can check that out on our website, koha-us.org. We'd love to see folks there. So with that said, we will see everybody again in 2 weeks.
Yeah. See y'all later.